savior of Meridian still has a few things she wants to take care of.
Successful sequels build on their predecessors in multiple ways. Think Mass Effect 2, Assassin's Creed 2 and Uncharted 2. They all improve on what came before them by conjuring up exciting new gameplay mechanics, developing characters through engaging stories, and switching up mission design to offer variety. Horizon Forbidden West does all of this with aplomb, building on the already impressive foundations of 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn to tell a thrilling story full of familiar explosive combat against elaborate robotic foes and blockbuster action sequences, but also adding Witcher-like settlements to the map and filling it out with great side quests. The result is a fantastic open world action adventure that, despite falling into a couple of its old habits, emphatically delivers on the promises made 5 years ago. Once again, Aloy is on a time-sensitive mission packed with mystery, not least in its characters, many of whom are firmly established in the grey area between friend or foe. Its twists and turns are numerous, and had me guessing how it would turn out right until the end of Aloy's journey. And that journey isn't a short one. My playthrough, which was done at a fairly relaxed pace that included completing a healthy amount of side missions, took around 32 hours.
I don't know what Anora's doing out here, but consider yourself owed.
Guerrilla Games has definitely learned a lesson this time around when it comes to finding a balance between world building and telling a coherent story. Horizon Zero Dawn tackled some big ambitious ideas, but sometimes stumbled when it came to conveying them in an engaging way. Forbidden West is able to confidently stride over the deep exposition potholes that Zero Dawn sometimes fell victim to, mostly mercifully avoiding lengthy information dumps in favour of a more elegantly told tale. The story's key moments are told through engaging cutscenes that contain their fair share of character-centric drama without dwelling on it long enough to overstay their welcome. This is still very much a hard sci-fi setting though, and that is where the slightly weaker parts of Forbidden West story lay during the opening hours. This makes for an uneven start, but the pace promptly picks up and becomes much more engaging once a new threat is introduced and the true plot of Forbidden West comes to the fore. The story's strengths, however, far outweigh those awkward moments. It's much stronger when focusing on the personal dramas and social and political conflicts of the Forbidden West than when satiating its fetish for rambling holograms. There are some real standout missions too. One questline involving a clumsy but lovable inventor trying to fulfill the ambitious legacy of his grandfather is a particular high point. It's a perfect example of how well Aloy's quest collides with other people's stories to create something truly memorable. It's also worth noting here that Forbidden West is very much a sequel to Zero Dawn, meaning newcomers attempting to skip the line and jump in here may feel slightly alienated by the overarching plot, though there is still plenty to enjoy regardless.
To understand what's going on in there, you're gonna need one of these.
There are fantastic character moments that are delivered with a deft touch. It's a credit to the writers that I found myself caring so much about the fate of these people so quickly after meeting them. This goes for the actors embodying the characters too. Performances are brilliant across the board, with no one feeling out of place and even the most incidental seeming characters well observed. That's no mean feat considering the large cast of fresh faces you'll meet throughout your playthrough. The supporting cast does a great job of keeping you company. Varl, an old friend of Aloy's from the Nora tribe who is with you from the opening moments, in particular provides warm companionship throughout and brings the best out of Aloy. It's a pleasant change when compared to the often lonely adventure of Zero Dawn. Actors Angela Bassett and Carrie-Anne Moss bring salvos of Hollywood caliber firepower to the story, but it's never enough to wrestle the limelight away from Ashly Burch as Aloy though. Naturally, she's at the core of everything in Forbidden West, and Burch carries that weight with confidence and panache, displaying power in loud pivotal moments, but also shining in the story's quieter, more heartfelt pockets. On the topic of the loud parts, while Zero Dawn may have been action-packed, its presentation never felt nearly as cinematic as this. Massive moments take place in masterfully choreographed cutscenes with swirling camera work, but subtler techniques, such as a wider lens used during conversations, add a filmic quality to dialogue-heavy scenes, allowing characters to use their bodies to move expressively and convey a wider range of emotion. Feelings run high over the course of the lengthy campaign too. And while this isn't anything like the trauma fest of something like The Last of Us Part 2, Forbidden West certainly tugs on the heartstrings. A stealthy approach, laying in wait to silently strike from tall grass, is almost always wise at the start of a fight, as you'll likely get into the most trouble when you're outnumbered. Even the less deadly machines, such as darting skydrifters and pouncing scrappers, pose a threat in numbers. Rarely has the saying, "attack is the best form of defense," been truer, and just as in Zero Dawn, these enemies' bodies are loaded with weak points that allow you to affect the fight and change it to your liking. Take the new Clawstrider for example. It's an extremely aggressive dino menace that can wipe you out with lashes of its devastating tail. Had enough of it? Equip some tear arrows and split it straight off. That cycle of learning an enemy and their multiple different attacks, reducing the number of options available to them by targeting and destroying their weapons, and then finishing them off with ice, fire, acid, or whatever other damage types they're weak to, never grew tired over dozens of hours. The combat in Zero Dawn was already fantastic, and Forbidden West only stacks more options on top of that, such as new weapons and ammo types, and feels better and more flexible than ever as a result. The explosive spike thrower is a particularly satisfying new addition to Aloy's collection of weaponry, lodging projectiles into machines before detonating them to cause big damage. I found this to be a near essential item against some of Forbidden West's bigger beasts, many of which provide battles that are of a scale and quality that many games would aspire to for their grand finales. The superb score also soundtracks perfectly throughout, dynamically cranking up the noise during high stakes battles and adding crunchy electronics to the familiar orchestral refrains from Zero Dawn. The central piece of Aloy's arsenal remains the bow and arrow though, with many different versions on offer, mixing and matching to make sure you have all of the different types of elemental damage you need on your weapon wheel is key. The next step is being skilled enough to hit your fast moving targets. The machines themselves are exquisitely designed, each bringing their own bag of party tricks to the West. The speed and power with which the machines move is a sight to behold. Not that you'll have much time to stop and stare as they barrel towards you, but if you allow yourself to slip into slow motion for a moment, you'll be able to see each gear ticking within their gaping jaws before you need to dodge out of the way of death. Zero Dawn cranked up the difficulty near the end of its story, and it's not too different here either. There are a few particularly challenging machine types that you have no option but to take head on, demanding you have full confidence in your chosen playstyle. Aloy's skill trees are extensive and allow you to tailor exactly how you want to play, certainly offering a far more extensive menu to choose from than the original. Out of the 6 different columns available, I put a lot of my points into the Hunter branch, in order to maximise my bow skills and increase the effects of the concentration ability, which allows you to slow down time. Valor surges are new special abilities unlocked on each skill tree that can be triggered intermittently throughout combat to really turn the tables in a fight. For example, one of the stealth surges harnesses stalker machine technology to temporarily grant you a cloaking device, making it easy to ambush unsuspecting enemies. Fighting packs of humans is entirely more dynamic in Forbidden West, as you scramble around architecture and vegetation and in and out of stealth. There's a fantastic weight to melee combat, which feels like a much more viable and crucially fun option this time around.